Salve ragazzi, finalmente ritorniamo sul Calice Nero dopo varie puntate appunto rinviate, ma sapete, ci sono problematiche con le band, nel senso del live e quant'altro, quindi verranno tutte riprese con King of Hell, speriamo, Dio ci aiuti, Sua Santità, poi anche con le altre band, quindi tranquilli, Carpathian Forest e quant'altro. Oggi, prima di chiamare Margrave Anarchy, infatti mi lascio in sovraimpressione, grazie mille Margrave, buonasera. Oggi andiamo a osservare questo libro 2 secondi, perché poi verrà fatta una video recensione su questo libro. Ci tengo particolarmente tanto, mi è stato regalato una persona molto molto importante e speciale, da un talento puro che salutiamo, infatti Giulia Ambrosini, che salutiamo veramente perché è un altro astro nascente della poesia che merita veramente il rispetto e totale supporto. Io tengo a leggere un verso di una poesia, una sua poesia, e poi andiamo in diretta appunto con Kelly degli Atheist, grandissima band. Rubo pochissimo tempo. Ho scavato la mia fossa con le unghie mie come forti, corte e forti. Non si sono spezzate. Con lo streppo era il mio cuore, impossibile da suturare. C'era un modo, ma non sono capace di ricordare. L'ho voluto dimenticare, l'ho voluto dimenticare. Ho scavato la mia fossa, agognando la carezza lieve della terra sulla mia pelle, lacerata dalle catene della vita, infettata dalla sua ruggine acida. Ho scavato anno dopo anno, mentre le stagioni giocavano a ricorrersi e tornavano a sfiorarmi con i loro sussurri folli, dall'alba al tramonto, dal tramonto all'alba. Mai mi ha lasciato. L'ombra gentile al mio fianco, tanto amorevole era il suo tocco sulla mia spalla, e tanto silenziosa la sua presenza ineffabile, che, scusate, che credetti fosse la morte. Ma voltandomi per supplicarla di precipitarmi nell'oblio, compresi che era la speranza e la fossa che avevo scavato erano due. Ora ricordo. Allora, questa, ciao Nico, ciao Pet, questa è una poesia dell'astro nascente Giulia, che veramente vi ho recensito. Ciao Margrave, è un libro veramente speciale, quindi verranno lette poesia per poesia in ogni puntata e poi verrà veramente video recensito. Ciao Matteo. Prego Margrave.
Ok, fai un attimo il libro che sarà oggetto di recensione. Intanto noi salutiamo tutte le persone che stanno vedendo il Calice Nero. Oggi siamo con Kelly degli Atheist, che lo facciamo entrare subito. Infatti già subito Matteo dice Unquestionable Presence, un album bellissimo che ha fatto nascere il Death Metal Tecnico, quindi con questa bellissima introduzione, salutandovi tutti quanti, invitiamo appunto Kelly ad entrare dall'anticamera del nostro programma. Quindi da adesso in poi mi splitto il cervello in due, non ero più abituato a farlo. Però prima di Natale abbiamo gli Atheist. So guys, welcome Kelly from Atheist. Welcome Kelly. Thank you very much for joining the show. We were presenting a book from an Italian poet that will be on the channel. And since this poet is really important for us, since he's a citizen of our town, they asked this the fact that, oh, can you read this before the interview of Kelly of Atheist? And we say, of course, yes. So a little privilege and explain why the maestro was reading a poetry before the actual interview.
I thought it was a prayer or something. I didn't know it was happening.
Yeah, it's a little bit something like that, because the tones and the weights reading is like a prayer, but gotcha. It's something about death and emotion and stuff that you as an artist recovered a lot of times via your music, we hope. So we try to merge the both of stuff,
gotcha.
And in fact is online. So thank you, Alan, said the poet.
Ciao Giulia, un abbraccio.
Giulia, grazie mille, abbiamo fatto prima di adesso. So with this presentation, I will pass the word to Alan, to the maestro, for the first question of this interview. Vai Alan.
All right.
Allora, come Come possono ripercorrere la parte artistica di un libro e allo stesso tempo di un film, concentrando una natura morta, una natura viva, con dei colori tra il viola e il marrone? Questa è
Okay,
intesa
so
nella
Kelly.
discografia degli Atheist.
Okay, Kelly, since we were speaking about the books and the art, we usually make those kind of question to compare the music and the discography of an artist that we respect a lot, as you. Not saying this because you're part of the show. It's you are we are a big fan of Atheist, by the way.
Thank you.
So the maestro wants to know if you have to compare your music with another form of expression, of another form of artistic expression as books or film, which movie and which book can be compared as similar to the mood of Atheist?
Well, that's a tough one. I would imagine that in the beginning, when we first started making music, that was probably very odd, much like a Requiem for a Dream. You know, that kind of movie was that's when I saw a Requiem for a Dream, I felt very it was a very strange movie, and that's probably how a lot of people probably felt about listening to our music the first time, because it was not the usual not the usual kind of music, especially at the time back in the late 80s and early 90s. So but I think there's a lot of cinematic qualities to to our music, but it's a tough question. But I guess I would say a Requiem for a Dream. That makes
Okay.
sense.
Yeah, absolutely. But for about the book that maybe can compare it with the with Atheist, which kind of book you will pick as similarities? You know,
Well,
we know
I
that
could.
it's tough, but
Well, there's a particular book that was inspirational to the lyrics that go to our music. It was a book called Emmanuel's Book, and it was an amazing sort of interview with a spirit called Emmanuel, and he channeled through the author of this book, and so it's set up in an interview format, and so without getting into tons of detail, it was these amazing questions with answers that you don't
mm,
typically hear for everyday questions. So questions about why are we here, what does it feel like to die, what is it, where do we go when we die, all these questions that people, a lot of people follow religion in order to get those answers, but they don't actually get the answers that they're looking for. But I found this book to be full of answers that I felt were more um, relevant to me. They made more sense to me. So I would say Emmanuel's book, and
okay,
there's three of them, but I know that they were inspirational to Paul from Cynic as well. We
yeah.
both, when we were very young, we used to chat on the phone about this particular book. So I would have to choose that.
Yeah, we had also a great speech with like interview with Paul some months ago. So he said the same question. For this reason, I was like happy to know it, because I know the interconnection between you and Paul, and even artistic wise, but also music wise. So exchanging
Yeah.
ideas, exchanges I don't know, inspiration. And my part of the question is about the way of Atheist, because as you said, in the late 80s, beginning of the 90s, this kind of death metal was like a difference between the other bands that were like going in the scene. And also we love when a band have his own trademark, so we can recognize them in by only hearing few shorts, few notes at the beginning of the song. Okay, it's Atheist, it's that, it's
Yeah.
Cynic, something like that. How is the importance of developing the personal style? How is how is the concept behind developing your personal style, and also what were the influences that were part of this kind of development?
I think probably just the influences, the alternate influence that a lot of our contemporaries at the time might have been listening to Venom and Sodom and things like that, whereas we were listening to Yes and Rush and so we were able to incorporate things like that into our also a diet of extreme metal that was available at the time, but it wasn't really well, it was extreme at the time because I mean bands like Metallica and Slayer were very extreme in the mid and late 80s compared to everything else around us. So I think that just that infusion of having roots in older music, Deep Purple, Black Sabbath, things like that. I don't think we're big influences on on other bands as much. Maybe I mean, well, maybe Black Sabbath and stuff like that. But surprisingly, touring in the early days, when I would ask, I remember asking Luke LeMay from Gorguts when we were on tour together in 1991. I was like, "What are your influences?" And his influences started with Chuck Schuldiner and Death, and I was like, "You've never heard Black Sabbath?" And at that point in his life, he had never heard Black Sabbath. And I was like, "Oh," to me, I was just, and so that kind of opened my eyes to, that was a new generation sort of coming in, and so I've always tried to shout out those influences to have people go back and listen to, just listen to older music, even Blue Oyster Cult and things like that. You can pull influence from almost anything, I mean, if pull the good things from your influences, and I think that's probably what led to, the oddness of our music.
Okay, really interesting this part to those answers. So, if you don't mind, Kelly, we take some time to translate for the Italian guys that are watching.
Sure.
By the way, I'm telling this in English and I repeat myself in Italian. Guys, if you are watching via our platforms, you can make your own comment by asking to Kelly whatever you want, because we love to interact with you guys. So in case you have a particular question to make to Kelly, just write in the comments. So we read anything, so no problem about it.
All
ok. Prima un po' di momento di traduzione. Siccome ripeto in italiano quello detto in inglese, siccome ci piace molto interagire con voi ragazzi, se avete qualche domanda da fare a Kelly degli Atheist, per favore scrivetela nei commenti. Intanto salutiamo tutti gli amici che stanno seguendo e mi raccomando, condividete questa diretta e fateci sapere cosa ne pensate e che artisti dobbiamo portare le prossime volte. Abbiamo chiesto a Kelly degli Atheist come domanda a bomba da parte del maestro una comparazione con la loro arte con un film o un libro. Le risposte sono state interessanti e non so se ti ricordi, Alan, ma la stessa risposta ha dato Paul Masvidal per quanto riguarda il libro, ossia quella dell'intervista con Immanuel, questo spirito, questa sorta di libro forma intervista con questo spirito che si interroga sull'esistenza e si interroga sul corso della vita. Per quanto riguarda invece il film, si è citato Requiem for a Dream, che comunque è un film abbastanza famoso, ma comunque rispecchia totalmente quello che può essere il mood degli Atheist, no? Perché comunque la loro forma musica, forma canzone, ha radici ovviamente nel metal. Infatti poi io ho chiesto come avete fatto a esplorare un vostro genere, ovviamente si è citato Chuck Schuldiner, ovviamente si sono citati Death, i Black Sabbath per esempio, e quindi ho chiesto anche questa sorta di situazione che di come è stato appunto sviluppare un proprio suono, sviluppare una propria via di concepire la musica. E per quanto riguarda lui, parto subito a dire: guarda, è una domanda molto strana, perché comunque le influenze degli Atheist sono varie, si parte dai Rush, ma comunque il metal estremo di chi ascoltava i Venom, Slayer, Metallica, comunque proiettiamoci verso fine anni 80 inizio anni 90, e quindi può essere veramente difficile come una band come Atheist, che poi ha influenzato tantissime altre band dopo, ha fatto sì che comunque si creasse un suono particolare. Poi abbiamo avuto Paul che ci ha fatto la stessa domanda, cioè la stessa risposta alla stessa domanda. Ci fa piacere come anche il fatto che questi due musicisti interagissero assieme, soprattutto per la questione libro, sia molto bella, perché vuol dire com'era la scena prima, e soprattutto quello che dice Kelly è di portare le nuove generazioni a scoprire il passato. Per esempio c'è chi dice: io sono influenzato da Atheist e da Death, però non conoscevi Black Sabbath, quindi la missione comunque è la riscoperta, perché ovviamente il cambio generazionale è quello, però comunque abbiamo le stesse radici, e le stesse radici portano comunque a una fusione incredibile tra suoni, emozioni eccetera. Quindi le prime domande sono state queste, e andiamo con le prossime domande. Io come sempre ragazzi mi accodo alle domande di Alan, per permettere comunque a Kelly di esprimersi al 100%. Vai maestro con la prossima domanda. Next question from the maestro, vai.
Nel 93 uscì Element, è un disco con una copertina molto particolare dove vanno a rispecchiare dei colori vivi, dal giallo, l'arancione, un violaceo, un blu, tanti colori, una sorta di quadro con un pennello che andava in uno stato di trance ma anche in uno stato di pazzia schizofrenia, il pittore che andava a creare appunto la copertina. Come siete riusciti a inglobare questi colori all'interno degli strumenti? Il basso, perché è uno strumento molto importante per gli atheist, la voce, la batteria, la chitarra e soprattutto la parte tecnica senza risultare troppo ingombrante per chi ascolta.
Okay, so we are talking about the first album, one of the first albums, 1993, Elements from Atheist.
Sì.
So the maestro wants to know, Kelly, if what were the artistic impulse, he says these words, and all the creative process during this album, and also matching with the colors of the artwork. The relationship between, as always, art and music. What were the vibes and the mood that you guys wanted to bring to the world via this album in particular?
Well, with Elements, it was completely different than the process for the other two records. Elements was made under not a stress, but an urgency. It was written literally from the very first riff to the very end in 40 days. And so there was a lot of things going on in that time. And we essentially went to we rented a house and we all stayed together in the house. And that's all we did 24/7 was play music and write riffs. And so there wasn't a lot of time to think about what we were doing. We were just for me, I was sort of fielding the riffs from, I think Tony Choi was really working with the drummer on the rhythm section, and I was working with the guitar players, Rand and Frank Emmy. And then when it was sort of over, like I only had a very short time to write the lyrics because I didn't have any music until maybe 10 days before we were, not even 10 days. I mean, yeah, it's hard to explain without being super wordy, but it was an urgency, but that urgency created a tension and allowed us to not overthink and just feel and make music that we were interested in. But I don't think there was a lot of influence there. It was really kind of pure and organic. And sometimes when you write music, you tend to think about, well, does this sound like this, or will people like this? And there was none of that. We just wrote very fast and just created these songs. And then I had a very short time to. I knew what the concept was going to be before the music was done lyrically. So that in itself was a challenge to write songs about mineral and earth. I mean, very without it being silly. So I wanted it to be very serious, but so it was a challenge. And artistically, the cover was really the earth, air, fire, and water. I mean, being the basis of it, really kind of left it to the artist, and he just made a beautiful, colorful,
yeah,
incredible
actually, the root of this question was about starting from the cover itself. So basically, you presented the concept to the artist, and you basically say, do what you feel about this kind of topic, or there were like some directions, I don't know, about all the artistic concept, packaging, cover art, and stuff like that.
Yeah, well, mind you, he was from Sweden, and so there was a translation issue. I was trying my best to explain lyrically what it was going to be, where it was going to be earth, air, mineral, fire, water. Those were going to be the song titles. we so yeah, I mean, he really took it upon himself to create the cover, and there wasn't a lot of back and forth. So it's a tribute to him for making, and it's very colorful, which is not the case typically in metal. And but that was on purpose. We wanted it to be very colorful and bright, and kind of the anti all the covers that were around us at the time. So we've always been into colorful covers. I know a lot of metalheads don't typically like that. They like a black and white T-shirt or something like that, But we've never really followed in anybody's direction. So we kind of done what we wanted to do, And so I'm really proud of the way that it came out, and it's held up all these years.
Yeah, for sure. Well, actually, my first record for nowadays I ever listened. Back in the days, I started my metal journey. So we are in particular in love with this kind of albums, because we are aware, even if we were not interviewing you, that it was like a separation thing between the past and from elements. It's like a separated thing, new way of concept music. Also, we love the cover art. So for this reason, we asked you about this particular album. And what I want to add to the maestro's question, if you have something that maybe you do not have shared about that period of time that you want to tell to us as a memory, which are your finest memory about the element processing and composing and recording, that maybe you can share with us after all these years?
I think I've mentioned it in a couple of interviews, but one of the kind of cool things was meeting and making friends with River Phoenix and Joaquin Phoenix during that time that we were writing, and we went to a party and took some mushrooms, and psychedelic mushrooms can really kind of open up your thoughts and your creative path in a way that sort of alcohol or marijuana would never do. So I think that actually added a confidence and a different avenue than the other albums that we had, and because of the short amount of time that we had to write and record it, that experience of going to essentially like a house party and tripping on mushrooms was kind of this magical experience, and so I think it really led to the oddness of it all. So yeah, I would say that.
Okay, but I was not aware about this side, so it's good that you, of course, tell to us.
Some won't know. River Phoenix has been gone since 1993, I think. So, and then Joaquin obviously went on to become, a fabulous actor in his own right. But at that time, they were just friends. They were just cool people. And our drummer Josh Greenbaum, the guy who played on the Elements album, was also in a band with River, and so he was the drummer for Alakazattic, which was River Phoenix's band. So that whole connection, a lot of really cool people were surrounding that studio. All the people that worked there were just really interesting characters in themselves, and then of course Mark Pinsky, having worked with Frank Zappa, and that was an inspiring part of that as well. Like we were trying to sort of pull from him that Zappa vibe, I guess, and so those things are what I remember as a theme.
Okay. Oh, really, really interesting about this kind of story and the memories that you shared. Actually, I think that people can find this kind of episode really connected to the way that maybe they can perceive the album and live it as a listening journey. So I think so much to cover. So Kelly, we know that is only one question, but I need to translate just to keep track of what you're saying. So a little pause for you, more work for me, but don't worry.
And I'm actually trying to keep it as short as I can, because I know you have to translate.
Don't worry. This is my personal gym to improve my English. So don't
you're doing
worry.
Great. Awesome.
Thank you very much. I take it as like a training, to just to jump to a language to another. So by the way, really interesting stuff, and guys, eat up if you want to know more about stories and stuff about Atheist. Stay with us, because after the translation, the maestro have some interesting questions for you. Ok, traduzione, un botto di roba. Allora, Elements, intanto modero la chat, prendo appunti perché sennò è un casino. Elements 1993, uscito per Music for the Nation, lo conosciamo bene, album colorato che parla di minerali e della terra in generale. Però comunque c'è una cosa molto importante da dire, perché quest'album è stato fatto in soli 40 giorni. Solo 40 giorni dove hanno composto, scritto e registrato quest'album. Racconta che comunque hanno lavorato in una casa, e sono appunto affittati una casa dove potevano stare a contatto tra di loro tutti i giorni, svegliarsi la mattina, comporre, registrare, svegliarsi la mattina, andare, fare eccetera. Quindi è un album che comunque rappresenta uno spartiacque tra gli Atheist che erano prima e gli Atheist che secondo me sono ancora oggi. In ogni caso la loro situazione ha fatto sì che quella certa sinergia che si vivesse tra loro ha fatto sì che comunque quest'album rappresenti comunque una pietra miliare e una nascita di un nuovo settore per quanto riguarda la musica estrema, perché comunque ci sono tantissimi elementi percussivi, tantissimi elementi di songwriting particolari, e lo stesso diciamo Kelly ci riferisce che comunque è stato fatto tutto in una maniera così veloce che non poteva lasciare dei secondi dubbi, dei dubbi, dei ripensamenti, perché avevano una deadline molto 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 tagliata. La stessa cosa anche per quanto riguarda l'artwork, che è stato fatto da spero di pronunciarlo bene, svedese Christian Hallim, che è un artista svedese, che proprio loro dovevano tradurre al meglio che potevano quello che si sentivano, quindi hanno presentato il concept, detto questo è il concept, parliamo di elementi minerali, di natura, di terra, e ha dato degli elementi, mo ci vuole, particolari, e il designer ha tradotto questa cosa nella cover che abbiamo anche mostrato prima. Mentre io ho fatto una domanda molto particolare, perché si riferisce a un momento esatto della loro carriera, che appunto se si ricordava qualche episodio particolare che comunque poteva, ecco, non lo so, ricordarsi in questa durante la registrazione, e parla di alcune esperienze con dei funghi, diciamo, psichedelici, delle parti in cui si festeggiava, ma avevano in cuor loro la fretta di finire, e quindi anche a livello creativo la psichedelia e l'utilizzo di questi fungotti allucinogeni, penso, come cazzo si chiamano, non mi ricordo, le ha aperte ad una prospettiva diversa di composizione, e soprattutto ricorda i fratelli appunto che hanno accompagnato, il nome adesso mi sfugge, però l'ha detto prima, perdonatemi, ma tra mille cose mi scervello anch'io, e quindi fortunatamente ricorda la connessione, perché poi il batterista suonava già con loro e loro avevano dato tanti spunti, tante cose, quindi ricorda con molta diciamo con molta empatia questa esperienza e quest'album, che poi si è tradotta in una pietra miliare di quello che è quello che potrebbe considerare di quello che si potrebbe considerare uno dei primi gruppi tecnici death metal. Non parlo di technical perché è diverso, secondo me,
sì, è diverso,
anche per quello che si è traslato successivamente, no? Però comunque questi elementi di Elements ci fanno dare un quadro generale di quello che è stato un'esperienza di un disco che comunque rappresenta, secondo me, uno dei dischi più belli del death metal anni diciamo anni 90, si può dire già anni 90, penso di sì, comunque è uscito nel 93.
Sì, anni 90,
erano gli albori,
primi anni 90.
Infatti, diciamo che poi Matteo poi precedentemente citava Unquestionable Presence, che è quello precedente, poi c'è anche Piece of Time, per esempio, però ho detto a Kelly che Elements è uno dei nostri preferiti, e quindi abbiamo voluto focalizzarci in questa prima parte di intervista su quest'album, perché veramente lo pensiamo come una sorta di spartiacque tra le due parti, perché poi è vero, i demo, Beyond, eccetera, però comunque Elements è un album secondo me molto molto bello. Non so se ad alcuni magari percepito in maniera inferiore rispetto ai primi due, però secondo me è lo stesso livello se non maggiore. Poi gusti personali, amici, nessuno niente contro nessuno. Maestro,
Allora,
io ho detto a Kelly che c'è delle
sì.
domande su cose super interessanti, quindi
Allora,
intanto
salutiamo
salutiamo
Records che collaborerà con Artegiata Fanzine, il canale, e poi Arocat, naturalmente, il nostro carissimo Arocat.
mi accodo anche ai saluti perché l'ho conosciuto personalmente a uno dei Raw Metal dove sono con la mia band, abbiamo chiacchierato un bel po', mi ricordo, quindi no, con il ragazzo di Hellbones Records.
Ok, tranquillissimo,
Quindi no, veramente è simpaticissimo, un saluto forte ovviamente anche a Minas City e Arocat. Vai maestro con la prossima domanda. Next question from the maestro.
Kelly, come possiamo far entrare gli Atheist all'interno di un disco dei Pink Floyd, creare quella psichedelia fuori da ogni norma logica dell'essere umano per poi incastrarla all'interno della mente di un animale come un lupo, per poi ampliare il tutto e creare un qualcosa di diverso dal metal estremo, rileggere la mente estrema dell'animale citato poc'anzi.
Okay, so by the way, before the translation, we are only two guys, and I'm also moderating chats, avoiding spams and stuff like that. So if you see me typing, just to do that. The maestro wants to ask you, Kelly, if you can compare, let's call the psychedelic side of Atheist with some monsters called the Pink Floyd, and if you can compare yourself and basically make Atheist and Pink Floyd in parallel, which from Pink Floyd you loved and which were your influences towards them, if there were some of your interest in their music, I think, and also how about the emotions and listening a music that can be like with different layers, as Pink Floyd have some layers, psychedelic side, prog style, and also the same as Atheist, so the maestro wants to compare in a good, not, but without challenge, artistically, this kind of situation. What do you think about these thoughts about making on the same spot Pink Floyd and Atheist as innovators?
Well, I think that I personally spent a lot of time listening to Pink Floyd when I was about 11, 12, 13, before I started playing guitar and before I started making music. I would buy the Pink Floyd albums, and Animals was a very a record I listened to on a regular basis. It was very dark and eerie, and it evoked emotion and it evoked visions. You know, when you listen to Animals, I just and it had political commentary as well, and I thought that was really impressive and very difficult to do in music, to interject with politics and political feelings without it being one-sided. So I think that while sonically we don't sound like Pink Floyd, I think that there was without a doubt an influence for me personally, lyrically and mood wise, just the idea that Pink Floyd was able to translate all these different moods, from The Wall to Uma Guma and Relics, and just they had so many different sides to them. And I think that if you were to compare, if I had to find a comparison, it would be the multiple sides to the music. So Atheist has a lot of different sides, and Pink Floyd has a lot of different sides. And so I don't think it was intentional. I just think it was something that comes from your influence, and so I would have to say Animals for me would be the record that was really the most important. Animals and The Wall.
Okay. Actually, I consumed my The Wall double CD because I don't have vinyl. I had the CD, amazing record, of course.
And The Wall was
The Wall, yes.
I bow to that.
Yeah, it's like the gods, So, it's good to know that Pink Floyd were part of your personal journey.
Oh yeah,
because of course, we know that Atheist has different layers, different perspective of their music, but I think that they're like an hidden link between, I think, the two bands, because of course we can feel it, and also the way of the lyrics, some lyrics that I read from both sides, what's really interesting. And about lyrics, Kelly, I want to ask you, since we barely touched this topic in the previous question, I want to ask you personally. I know that it sounds a little bit, but I think that simple questions sometimes are the best. What are your way to express your inner side via the lyrics? Which kind of topic you love to touch, and you would love to touch also for the future? And the inspirations from the daily life, I don't know. What are your inspiration? In what places you are inspired to write music?
Honestly, I like to write from a completely non-predictable. It's like I never want to sit down and say, okay, I'm going to write a song. I'm going to write a song about mountains and trees. I don't think about it like that. I did have to, with Elements, on some level, fall in line. I've never had song titles and then written lyrics to the song title. I usually write lyrics and then find the song title from there. So I love word association writing. I like to just write without thinking, and then go back and take the best things from what I wrote. I love words and language, and I love saying things and saying simple things in a complex way, and using different words and different phrases that you don't typically hear. You can say things simply, or you can say them elegantly. One of the great things about like great poetry is, when you hear something that is simple, like you could say I love you in hundreds of different ways. And I think you try to find clever phrasing and ways to make it mean more and make it go deeper to help people understand, if that makes any sense. It's just it's fun. It's an exercise as a writer. I never took any classes or went to college or anything like that. So I don't have any sort of textbook training for writing, but I'm just a big fan of words and phrases and saying things in a different way to get a different result. And so
Okay, it's really good things to know, because of course here in Italy is a part of the studies of the language at university, for example, that is called in Latin research of the words. So you're doing your own way, you're researching, or your philology. It's called. I think it's good. It's good translation. I don't know, but the research. We noticed that reading the lyrics of Atheist. So I was really curious about how you write lyrics, because I say, okay, well. I think because we also asked this to other guys that we had on the show. It's really interesting the way that an artist can express themselves, because people sometimes tell about places. I feel more inspired in that places instead of that. But the way of making music and making lyrics is also interesting, because of course differs from people to people, but
Well,
also can
if you think
express
about
your...
if you think about the song Green from Elements, the very first line is suddenly all turns to green and the forest cracks a smile. Just that line, a forest cracks a smile, to me was, kind of an oxymoron and a way of saying things, because obviously trees don't smile, but it evokes an image. Like even when I say it today, a forest cracks a smile reminds me of an eerie, foggy uh, array of trees, and you want to say things that pull imagery from people. I mean, that's what I try to do anyway. And
No,
so
it's really interesting, actually. Really interesting, and also those kind of metaphor are really classy. Let's say the word. I think it's very. by the way, not saying this because we are here, you are here with us, but we really love going in depth of records. For this reason, we asked about the creative process of elements, and we asking about the lyrics.
I appreciate that you care, because not a lot of people care about lyrics, and
we know, but we know that not anybody have the same views about making art. But me and the maestro are the kind of guys that put headphones and reading the booklets, every words, every line, because we really
I love guys like you.
Thank you. And there is a question from Arrogat, by the way, great Italian artist that we recommend to listen if you want, of course. He said, I hope that this question is not made yet, but I want to ask to Kelly, which band or musician making him have the input to say, okay, I want to start to play and making a band. What were your first inspiration for the first composition? And in a simple way, which were your first favorite band?
Oh man, gosh, a band that made me want to play music. Probably. Gosh, I'm trying to think because there were so many. I have a lot of different influences, and before I started playing guitar, I had music that I loved. Once I started playing music, those things changed. So I would have to say fundamentally early Metallica and early Slayer and early Merciful Fate. Those three bands were a steady diet of my listening. And it was at the time that I was just discovering guitar and learning how to play. But 2112 from Rush was really the very beginning of me sitting down and learning chords and learning how to express myself and write songs. I spent an enormous amount of time with that record, and I got from 2112 a great lyricist in Neil Peart, and also brilliant music from Alex Lifeson and Geddy Lee. So they're really the quintessential example of a perfect band. Great lyrics, great music, great musicianship. And Rush is their own genre. There's rock and roll, there's country, and then there's Rush. Rush is their own band. Pink Floyd is also like that as well. So oddly, those two bands really played a huge role in my early stages of learning how to write music and play music.
Really, really, really interesting. Partially, of course, you already answered that in the previous question, but of course, just to deal with the Arrogat's one, I think that Arrogat, you have your own answer, but I think that some artists were also like one of inspiration for all the modern musicians too, because of course we got Rush, Metallica, Slayer, and Merciful Fate, huge names, but also, as you said, Rush, they are only three guys, but they sound like an orchestra. It's unbelievable how they, and of course Neil Peart is underrated when we see the part of the lyric side, because course they say, okay, great drummer Neil Peart, okay, of course it's some people have the doubt that he's a good drummer too, but I don't mind.
I will dine on honeydew and drink the milk of paradise. I mean, come on. That's one of the most beautiful lines ever.
Art music. I think.
yeah.
Really. Okay. Just because
translation time.
Yeah, translation time. I don't want to forget anything, because I think that those kind of interviews are quite interesting, and I hope to translate to the people as 100% true as possible. Okay, so I try. Ok, praticamente ragazzi abbiamo fatto una bella domande corpose a Kelly, che veramente simpaticissimo, poi ce lo diciamo anche in inglese ovviamente, ma poi anche molto quello che fa. Allora, siamo partiti con una domanda di comparazione tra le sfaccettature dei Pink Floyd e le sfaccettature degli Atheist. Personalmente dico Kelly che per loro come band i Pink Floyd non sono stati una grossa influenza, ma per lui personalmente, soprattutto nelle prime parti da chitarrista, l'hanno dato molto. Poi sinceramente a lui piace il modo in cui si sono addentrati nelle liriche sociali senza prendere parti politiche, senza fare propaganda, cosa che l'ha ispirato molto, perché lui vuole il fatto di parlare a tutti, il fatto che comunque una cosa, un argomento non può essere visto come molti spesso fanno nel 2022, a parti parzionate, coi paraocchi, eccetera, i Pink Floyd l'hanno reso, diciamo, un artista migliore, soprattutto con Animal e The Wall. Sono stati 2 album incredibili che l'hanno comunque preso molto bene. Eccoci David Roger Waters, per esempio, per ecco l'impatto compositivo a strati e le diverse sfaccettature dei Pink Floyd potrebbero essere unite da una sottile linea nascosta con gli Atheist, perché anche loro hanno diverse sfaccettature.
È vero.
Per quanto concerne la questione artistica, lui cerca di mettere arte sia nella musica che nelle parole, e fa quella che io chiamo fa una ricerca di parole, una sorta di filologia, sì, non voglio sbagliarmi. La filologia di Kelly qual è? Quella di usare metafore, ossimori, riferimenti per far scattare quella immaginazione mentale. Soprattutto si parla della canzone, per esempio quella Green the Elements, no?
Ok.
Green the Elements, che lui che anche la prima traccia, vi rileggo e vi traduco in italiano la prima parte del testo. Lui dice proprio, l'ha detto in inglese, dico in italiano: all'improvviso tutto diventa verde, sospiro, e tutta la foresta inizia a fare un grosso sorriso. Questa frase, per esempio, che è la primissima frase che apre l'album Elements, è un po' riassumibile con il suo modo di tradurre la sua interiorità all'interno della musica. E questa è una cosa interessante, perché lui ci dice che non ha fatto college, non ha fatto classi particolari, però quello che vuole fare è appunto sia lasciare messaggi che il modo in cui si lasciano i messaggi, anche per una sorta di non complessità ma raffinatezza della lingua. L'inglese più dell'italiano è una lingua molto semplice, l'americano è una lingua molto semplice, e quindi lui dice il modo, per esempio, lui si è riferito ad I love you, si può dire in mille modi, non per forza solo in quel modo lì. Quale modo più poetico, più crudo, più diverso? Insomma, la ricerca delle parole stesse. E lui non è che si sveglia l'anticipo, devo scrivere la canzone, si mette là col foglio, titolo e poi canzone. Lui cerca di traslare i suoi pensieri nel foglio e poi dopo, alla fine, riassumere il pensiero e farne il titolo, sostanzialmente. E su questo poi abbiamo parlato, gli abbiamo detto che comunque noi facciamo queste domande perché siamo i tipi di persone che si siedono sul divano e ascoltano e aprono i booklet, leggono linea per linea, e quindi vogliamo sapere di più questa interiorità. E lui dice: questa interiorità viene da una questione di approfondire la realtà, e parte, giusto per poi andare alla domanda di Arrogat, l'ispirazione è stata quella di Neil Peart, dei Rush, del suo modo di scrivere. Spesse volte Neil Peart viene un po' sottostimato come lyricist, ma come scrittore veramente cultura esagerata. Infatti ne ha chiamato mi sembra il maestro, il professore, il maestro anche lui ne ha chiamato, no? A parte la batteria suonava bene, ci sta anche chi lo critica, vabbè, ma criticano tutti il giorno d'oggi. Però ecco, 2112 come disco racchiude quelle che sono le sue influenze, perché poi Rush hanno fatto dei capolavori, e insieme a Metallica, Slayer e Merciful Fate. Però ha adottato questa sorta di, chiamiamolo, raccontastoria alla professore dei Rush, che appunto ha dato questa ispirazione particolare alla sua musica. Lo troviamo in Elements, dove ci sono tanti riferimenti metaforici, tante allitterazioni, tante onomatopee, suoni che diventano parole che diventano suoni, eccetera. Quindi è un modo molto interessante, perché se poi ci fermiamo e andiamo oltre quella che è la mera apparenza, troviamo negli Atheist, come negli altri gruppi di questo filone qua, abbiamo citato Paul dei Cynic per un motivo, notiamo un'artisticità superiore che in questo momento rappresenta una vera linea tra quello che può essere una sorta di psichedelia e di sound particolare con il modo di esprimere le emozioni. Quindi abbiamo fatto questi giochetti per arrivare alla conclusione di scoprire di più su come Kelly in particolare traduce le sue sensazioni, le sue emozioni in liriche e in musica. Perfetto.
Okay.
I'm done. I'm talking with the ends. Sorry for talking too much with the ends, but it's because
allora,
we are Italian.
l'ultimo giro di domande
che
andremo a porre.
Quindi le ultime due.
Sì, le ultime due.
Okay.
Io vorrei...
Okay, Kelly, last two questions for you. Because we do not want to kidnap you on the internet. This I don't know which kind of hours in your place, but we are like
digli anche Kelly
PM.
che poi vorremmo averlo in una seconda parte anche.
And Maestro says if you want, of course, if you enjoyed this interview, we would like to make another episode with you in the future. We would love to expand, because sometimes they say, oh, 1 hour is a long time, but as you can see, expires in in a touch of fingers.
Yes.
Yeah, it's
I would love to come back. I would definitely love to come back.
We would like to we'd like to go in depth about other topics of artists and music, etc. So we would love to arrange the second part. By the way, thanks for the reply. Say got to you, Kelly. And okay, last two question for you, Maestro. You want to make the question? I make my own. What do you want to do? Faccio io, fai tu.
Allora, io faccio la penultima e tu fai l'ultima.
Ok, perfetto.
Allora, prendiamo un terreno, una terra. Quindi prendiamo tutta la parte naturale, senza nessun umano. Togliamo l'essere umano. Lì andiamo a ricercare la vera corposità della terra, quella corposità animalesca ancora non stuprata dall'essere umano, e allo stesso tempo andiamo a ricercare la natura, quel profumo, quell'alone, quelle piccole attenzioni, quelle piccole cose verso la natura, come il color verde, come il marrone, come tutti questi colori delle stagioni. E allo stesso tempo, correlato a tutto ciò, come potrebbe Kelly descrivere la parte nevosa grazie agli Atheist? Nel senso, un album completamente strumentale con dei parti naturali, quindi con dei versi di animale e quant'altro, con un vento sopraffino, per poi renderlo tutto all'interno dei fogli di una poesia.
Okay, as you can imagine, the question is a little bit long, so I try to divide in a section just to do not just to not make you, of course, making some mistakes of translation or misunderstand something. The maestro asked you about the way of you guys, and also you, Kelly, in the about making the new music, and he said, let's play with pictures. If there is something, the possibility to make something, music for non-humans, which kind of music you would love to compose?
For non-humans?
Not humans. If you have the possibility to compose music for nature, for trees, for animals, which kind of music you would like to compose?
That's a very weird question.
I know.
I don't. I mean, that's a really difficult question to answer. I don't. I mean, the music that I create currently, I wish did mean something to trees, and I wish that it did mean something to animals. You know, I mean, currently. So I don't know that I would create any different kind of music other than to say sonically, to be able to move an entire forest with sonic sounds would be something that would be impressive. For animals, um, you know, I guess it would be great to make music that was received by animals well. You know what I mean? You never think about animals listening to music and whether it matters to them. But I'm sure that there are sounds to an elephant, for instance. If I could write a song that caused multiple elephants to come to me, I think that that would be an amazing feat. You know, if you were able to drop me in the middle of a jungle with a few musical instruments, and I was able to make some music that caused, you know, animals to come out of the woods and to come and visit, that would be amazing. But I don't know what kind of music that would be. You know, I mean, it's a different frequency. You know, I think that animals and nature in general operate in different frequencies than we do. They see things differently, they hear things differently. So I would just want to, I would want to find the right frequencies that speaks to them. The same way I think that people try to create music that appeals to other people or themselves. You know, so if that's an answer, that's the best I can do on that.
It's a pretty cool answer actually. And linked to this one, the last part of the question of the maestro is about if you have to pick one animal, let's say as a spiritual animal, let's go like this. Which one you pick as a guide animal, something that can lead you not in about the materialistic life, but it's about more spiritual side. Which animal you will pick? Spero di averti detto bene. I hope that I translated.
I'm really intrigued with. I mean, dogs obviously are incredible. Dogs are these amazing. I mean, dogs can smell cancer. Dogs, I just think are one of the most incredible animals on earth because they have a depth to them that I don't think we've yet to begin to understand. From smell to hearing, loyalty. You know, it's really hard to top a dog. Elephants are the same way. They have incredible memories of, emotion that's not visible. But I'm also impressed with birds. Birds are this. Birds sort of exist in our world, and they fly around and they see everything. When we kind of see them, but we don't really think about what a bird thinks and what is the life of a bird like. So those three animals, just off the top of my head, I would say are the most intriguing to me out of the gate.
Okay, really, really interesting this side, and just making the last question, and we will translate later. Don't worry. We as Calice Nero make the last question the same for any guest, any people that we host on our program.
Strano che non c'è Alessandro che dice cosa da bere.
No, ma la domanda di prima mi ha spaccato la testa. Comunque, so Kelly, we would like to, of course, il Calice Nero means in English the black calice. So we are really curious about which kind of drink can represent the music of Atheist. Totally from random. L'ho detta subito.
Well,
Maestro is dying, by the way.
Yeah. Okay. I can tell you one of the most important drinks to me as one of the the main guys in Atheist is this right here, Mountain Dew.
Yeah. It's like
it's on the album. If you look on the thanks list for Atheist, you will see thank you to Mountain Dew. And now you don't have this in Italy.
No, we have not this kind of drink in Italy. But is it kind of like Gatorade, something like that?
No.
No.
Okay. No, it's you can't compare it. Just like Atheist, you can't compare it to anything.
Yeah, sure.
I
have to try it, man.
It's very, very. I don't know. It's very caffeinated, and it literally has been one of the only things that I drink for 30 plus years. I had to move to diet.
Perfect.
Because it was so full of sugar that so now I drink the diet one. But and in terms of alcohol, I've Jägermeister has been my go-to.
Of course, we ask about alcohol, but we don't mind if
Buono Jägermeister.
something or another. So
so Jägermeister and Mountain Dew. Those
fantastic Jägermeister.
Maestro approves the Jägermeister side. And can you please re-show to me the drink, that green one? Just because I would like to just not it's not an endorsement, but I'm really curious about this drink. So it's okay, MTN. Okay.
Yeah, Mountain Dew.
Mountain Dew, okay.
Yeah.
I have to try it actually because I'm really into that kind of stuff.
I love it.
By the way, every answer to this question is particular in his own way. So we love to exchange opinions about this topic. Also making a little bit fun on it, but we in Italy mean the drinking and the stay together as a purpose of creating a community and stuff like that. So for this,
but you guys, if you had mentioned that you guys look at the liner notes on the albums, And so if you look at the liner notes for Piece of Time and for Unquestionable Presence, you will probably see Mountain Dew. It'll say Kelly thanks marijuana, Mountain Dew. And
yeah,
those are
I never figured out that it was a drink actually. Because you say, yeah, but Graziano, you can research it. Yes, but
the reason why is it has a lot of caffeine in it. So smoking a lot of pot and drinking a caffeinated drink was a sort of a way to not be like like super down from smoking, because smoking opens up the sort of the avenues of creativity, but you don't want to like be a stoner where you're like falling asleep. So you drink the Mountain Dew to
will give
back up
a little bit of energy. Okay.
The up and the down. And the up and the
yeah. Russian mountains, actually.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, pretty interesting also this kind of stuff. And of course, I let you, Kelly, to make the last question. We usually give free space to our guests at the end of the interview. If you want to add something, maybe to share with Italian atheist fans, Italian metalheads, whatever you feel like, you have free space before the end of this interview.
Well, I would like fans to know that over the last 3 years, it's been very difficult for everybody with COVID, and to be in a band and to be able to tour is very difficult these days. And we were supposed to be over. I was supposed to spend my birthday in Italy this year. And I want to apologize to everybody for the fact that we weren't able to make it. And there's a lot of factors that were involved in us not having to reschedule that tour. But I want you all to know that one of our favorite places on earth is Italy, and the food, the culture, your language. I'm a huge fan of all you and your culture, and I love it when I get the opportunity to come there, and all of Europe really, but Italy has a special place in my heart for the food and the kindness of and the insight, the willingness to look deeper inside the music. Every time I do an Italian interview, it's way different than if I do an American interview. It's the questions are always different, and it's nice, it's nice as an artist to have people care about lyrics and why you write lyrics and things like that. So in closing, I just want to say that we will see you very soon. You will see Atheist in Italy as soon as possible. And we love you, and thank you for the 30 plus years of support. We really, really appreciate it. The best is yet to come.
Perfect. We hope to meet to shake the hands in real life as you
and drink
you see.
And have
drink,
a drink together. Yes,
Mountain Dew.
No, Jägermeister.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you, Kelly, so much for being a part of the Calice Nero and accepting the interview. We really had this beautiful honor.
It was an honor.
Honor for us, actually. So we hope to bring you back.
See you soon.
Episode, and we hope to see you soon. Actually,
yeah, absolutely.
All right, I don't know if you were had the chance to visit the south of Italy, but I think that you will enjoy it.
I know I will. I can't wait.
Of course,
cannot wait.
All the Italian fans wait for you guys. We hope that you can reschedule as soon as possible.
I promise.
Meanwhile, guys, check the Atheist page, the official page. Buy merchandise to support the band.
I also. May I add that I have a special surprise. I have a brand new band called Till the Dirt, and we just signed with Nuclear Blast, and it is more extreme than Atheist, and that's a whole other. I will send you guys a link. I will send you some music, and you can listen to it. And it's really it's as different as Atheist was then to what music is now. And I'm really proud of it. Steve DiGiorgio is a guest spot on it. Jeff Loomis is on it. John Longstreth. I have a lot of guests, and it's a
Maestro told me in private something, because we was
like io sapevo già tutto, mi ha detto
also the project on the show too. We hope to...
Okay, yes, I will send you guys I'll send you some music.
Thank you very much. And for the people, check also the new band of Kelly,
Till the Dirt,
that signed with the Nuclear Blast, so you will have the chance to listen.
Scott Burns produced it.
Okay, Morris on sound. So
No, not a more sound, just Scott
not
Burns.
more. Scott. Okay. Sorry.
Yeah, Scott Burns.
Because of course we in Italy we associate Scott Burns and Morrison
Scott
sound
Burns.
as one thing, you know?
Yeah.
Ok. Quindi Scott Burns in questo nuovo progetto Till the Dirt, che sono andati sul Nuclear Blast, il nuovo
Jeff
progetto
Loomis,
di Kelly degli Atheist,
di Giorgio,
Jeff Loomis, Steve Di Giorgio,
John Longstreth.
Okay, I can pronounce that. John Longstreth, and from Origin, I think.
Yes, Origin.
Okay, great dudes and great band, and we can wait to, of course, have you guys.
Occhio gli Origin.
Esatto. The maestro tells to wait because we are in process to get on the show Origin too, so we hope to get on the show. Cool. And then really thank you, Kelly, for your time. Really appreciate it, and have a nice rest of the day from Il Calice Nero.
All right, thank you guys. Cheers.
Thank you. You're welcome. Cheers.
Bye-bye.
And
cheers.
See you in the future in Italy, we hope, as soon as possible. Bye.
Yes. Bye.
Ciao Kelly.
Allora ragazzi, abbiamo avuto Kelly
degli
Atheist che ci ha dato una bombetta in esclusiva del Calice Nero.
Io sapevo già.
Super band con Jeff Loomis, con John Longstreth degli Origin.
Sapevo.
Ci sta anche Steve Di Giorgio dei... Vabbè, anche dei Dead, è stato anche nei Dead.
Allora, per il momento Steve Di Giorgio non rilascia interviste, vedremo più avanti. Quindi,
però speriamo di prendere anche Jeff Loomis e tutti quanti gli altri, insomma. Vabbè, in conclusione gli ho traslato la tua domanda in un po' più semplice in inglese per appunto farlo rispondere quanto prima possibile. Ho detto come farebbe la musica per i non umani e quali animali sceglierebbe per comporre musica, perché penso che più o meno sia quella la domanda che gli volevi fare. Dici che praticamente comporre musica per non umani è un'esperienza che farebbe volentieri, perché comunque gli animali viaggiano su altre frequenze, altre cose, altre situazioni,
altre intelligenze.
Ma soprattutto un altro modo di vivere la cosa. Per quanto riguarda gli animali, sono gli uccelli, l'elefante e sono tutti i cani, perché i cani hanno una percezione diversa.
Sì, verissimo.
Hanno un modo di percepire le situazioni diverse. Non lo dice perché sono un amante dei cani, cioè perché possono, per esempio, odorare anche situazioni tipo cancro, possono percepire cose che noi non possiamo percepire.
Ad esempio infarti.
Esatto.
I cani aiutano, salvano.
Certo. Ma possono anche aiutare attraverso l'olfatto a trovare per esempio persone in difficoltà. Stessa cosa gli elefanti, anche gli uccelli hanno un modo di percepire la situazione diversamente. Poi per quanto riguarda la questione se voleva aggiungere qualcosa, lui chiede scusa se non sono potuti venire con gli Atheist in Italia perché ci sono state delle complicazioni,
Covid e quant'altro.
Sì, ma anche per il fatto che i costi sono aumentati per le band. Quindi è più difficile per le band americane andare in tour in Europa, guerra, pandemie, eccetera. Però comunque dice che stanno rischedulando il tutto e quindi invita tutti i fan italiani a stare aggiornati sui siti degli Atheist, perché ci saranno buone nuove quanto prima. E poi c'è una nuova band in esclusiva per il Calice Nero, anche se il maestro già sapeva, perché lui, il maestro, diciamo...
No, perché mi stava facendo ascoltare anche già cosa, mi stava facendo ascoltare.
No, ma ha detto che poi ci manderà del materiale in anteprima, quindi lo ringraziamo. Tu ovviamente passa questo materiale. Sono i Till the Dirt, che hanno appena firmato per Nuclear Blast e sono un super band con i membri che abbiamo appena citato.
E c'è anche un'altra super band, degli Origin, Steve Tucker, di un'altra band allucinante.
Sì, sta pure Jeff Loomis, ha detto.
No, un'altra band ancora.
Un'altra band ancora, si tiene...
Steve Tucker, John Longstreth, e poi non so chi c'è. Cioè, ci sono 4 musicisti, uno più allucinante dell'altro.
Vabbè, comunque era tanta roba, insomma. Per i fans della roba estrema, dice ancora più estrema degli Atheist, no?
Allora,
e niente, poi per quanto riguarda la questione dice io adoro fare interviste con i magazine e i canali in Italia perché fanno domande un po' come avete fatto voi, dice sulle liriche, sulle cose, quindi gli fa piacere e quindi ci ringrazia per averlo ospitato. Dice sicuramente anche con quest'altro progetto gli fa piacere essere parte del Calice Nero. Noi ovviamente non possiamo non ringraziare queste persone che, ripeto, per tutti quelli che vengono, diciamo, e ci seguono per la prima volta, prima di accettare etichette e artisti, il canale se lo vedono, valutano i contenuti e poi dicono di sì. Non perché lo teniamo più lungo degli altri, ma per dire che comunque ci stiamo da mesi e mesi a contattare e fare, per noi sono piccole gioie, perché portiamo i nostri artisti preferiti, come è stato Paul Masvidal dei Cynic, come sono stati i Mayhem in Vorkner, e quindi speriamo di poter appunto portare quanti più artisti che ci piacciono, perché non è che piacciono solo a noi, piacciono a voi, a noi, e noi praticamente creiamo una sorta di punto di contatto. Insomma, ci fa molto piacere fare queste cose, perché noi proprio da fan della musica per un'ora siamo insieme ai nostri musicisti preferiti, quindi a noi piace domandare cose che tra l'altro se avessimo da vicino li domanderemo a prescindere dal Calice Nero o meno. E quindi noi ovviamente vi ringraziamo tutte le persone che sono su Telegram, su Facebook, su YouTube, su Twitch, i nuovi iscritti, i vecchi iscritti, tutti. Vi ringraziamo. E stiamo elaborando sia nuove grafiche per quanto riguarda i video, soprattutto la parte dell'outro, quindi cambieremo alcune cose. E poi stiamo facendo un nuovo sito dove chi vuole può ordinare direttamente il merchandising senza chiederlo. Però lo ribadiamo, se volete sostenere il Calice Nero potete farlo in 3 modi: condividere questa diretta, iscrivervi e farlo sapere ai vostri amici, il merchandising del Calice Nero, magliette, long sleeve, felpe e cappelli, quelli lì baseball, e cappelli come la cuffietta che c'è il maestro, e poi se volete se ci volete offrire un caffè, c'è il link in descrizione.
Comunque ragazzi,
tutto questo materiale, ripetiamo, viene messo da parte per poter fare la zin e per poter fare tutte le iniziative collegate al canale, quindi hosting, eccetera. Quindi vi ringraziamo tutti quelli che ci hanno supportato e ci supportano tutti i giorni, da parte da amici, fidanzate che ci supportano, facciamo le dirette, giustamente che rompiamo il cazzo, a voi che ci seguite e che ci scrivete con domande sempre molto interessanti.
Senza di voi non siamo qua noi.
Che siano 4, 3, 2 persone, a noi non ci interessa. Speriamo che questo format vi piaccia, e salutiamo veramente tutti coloro che ci hanno dato fiducia.
Allora ragazzi,
vadiamo, scusami maestro, le mail in descrizione, ma lo faccio vedere anche in sovraimpressione, perché siamo sempre aperti ad utilizzare e a intraprendere collaborazioni, a sponsorizzare in maniera totalmente gratuita band underground, etichette come quelle che stanno in sovraimpressione o quelle che stiamo sotto. Maestro, vai con le ultime parole. Ti lascio tutto schermo in bellezza.
No, domani ci sono i Nagfar, domenica ci sono gli Hades, poi verranno riprese tutte le interviste che sono state rimandate, quindi raga, non preoccupatevi, anche Maname è stata ripresa, quindi verranno tutte riprese, mano a mano verranno tutte riprese, quindi i Venom vengono spostati, quindi, ma è normale.
Verranno ripresi.
Sì, ma infatti non preoccupatevi, verranno tutte riprese.
Poi vi diciamo che ci saranno, dopo le vacanze di Natale, ci focalizzeremo più sul materiale che stiamo ascoltando per le recensioni. Esatto. Anche perché noi, libri abbiamo un paio, più altri. E poi niente, il nostro mondo è tutto in descrizione, tutti i link, tutti bellini, seguiteci, piaceteci e condivideteci. Più che altro vi ringraziamo di cuore per la vostra per il vostro supporto. Il 26 dicembre è un anno del Calice Nero, e quindi poi lo festeggeremo a nostro modo, o stesso quel giorno o in giorni successivi, vedremo in base a interviste eccetera. Vi auguriamo a tutti buona serata e mi raccomando, lascio la parola.
Il grande spettacolo si fermerà mai, e poi come finisce?
Codice d'onore 000. Mi raccomando, pensate con la vostra testa e non fatevi condizionare da nessuno. Esatto, la morte della vita. Buonasera a tutti, un abbraccio dal cattivo maestro Alan e dal Margrivanarca Graziano. A presto.
Ciao ragazzi.